Okay, everybody. Happy Thursday.
Thursday night. Happy Thursday.
Dean and Jen Gross with Gain here. Hope you guys are doing well. It's 9:05 on the dot, so we're right on time, right?
We've been trying to start a little bit earlier, but doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah, this is a perfect time. Mm-hmm. So why should everyone see a stand-up comedy act? Hopefully all of you have had the pleasure to go to some kind of live act or stand-up comedy. But I really think you should. We both think you should for a number of reasons. Obviously, there's a great entertainment value. Everyone needs a great laugh.
Yes.
It's definitely
laughter is a medicine.
It's definitely a big medicine. But secondly, we're saying more on the frame of, especially if you're in business today and you do presentations.
Yes.
And it doesn't really matter what type of business or what type of presentations. If you're responsible for doing any type of presentations, we highly recommend you go watch a stand-up comic. Strictly because they represent the ultimate, the top level of presentation giving. And obviously it'll be a little bit different. You're not there to necessarily entertain people, but we're going to share 4 key principles that stand-up comics have mastered that are key in giving a great business presentation.
But the reason we think they're key is that it makes their presentation style makes it memorable.
Yes.
So with any business presentation, you want to be memorable.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the point of what we're talking about.
It's scientifically proven that when you're doing a presentation, obviously the retention is going to be very, very low. Whether it was a 10-minute presentation or an hour and a half,
they'll get a few seconds of the very beginning, a few seconds of the end. So then there's that middle brain dip where people just go out of focus completely. So how do you draw them in throughout your entire presentation?
Yeah.
With memory hooks.
Yeah.
Some of these techniques.
Yeah. So we'll talk about these 4 techniques and how you can incorporate it. And it's not just standing there in a monotone voice and looking at a PowerPoint. So that's not one of the things you'll ever see at the comedy show. But let's break down these 4. So then you'll make sense of how you'd want to try to model some of these great entertainers. So comedians are great first because they first draw on emotion. I mean, that's an obvious thing. But anytime you do a presentation, emotion is key. And obviously the emotion they draw on predominantly is comedy, which is great. It doesn't have to be just that in a presentation, though. You can draw on any kind of emotion, love, fear, survival, anything that's going to draw on the human heart and the human element. It makes it memorable. That's why if you think about even tragedies in history, people tend to remember vivid details during the days of tragedy because the emotion was so strong. Mm-hmm. So maybe the death of a loved one, maybe even the death of a president, or 9/11. A lot of people could tell you from A to Z what they did,
exactly where they were,
the moment
that happened,
what they ate, what they were wearing, and they can't do that for yesterday. Mm-hmm. And the reason is the emotion is so strong that your brain retains it. And so our battery's running low.
Let's see here. That would be DJ unplugging the battery.
Okay, battery's back on. Game on. So with they do a great job of drawing on comedy, and so that's why if you think of a comedic act, it's so memorable, and you can go to one show and remember it years later. And so a lot of the famous comedians today, they'll have those one-liners of those moments that you've seen it once and you'll never forget it, and you can recite it with your friends strictly because the emotion was so strong, the laughter, the comedy was so strong. And so if you think of a business presentation, if you can draw on that somehow, maybe it's what your business solution does for someone's family, their loved ones, or spend more time. Again, if you look at commercials, you'll see this.
Maybe it's a product that you sell, and how that product has dramatically impacted your family, your loved ones, friends, and how that affected them emotionally.
Yeah.
When you draw on that, it's definitely going to pull that potential client in.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just if you think of marketing today, like commercials, and you start paying attention, it's the same idea. Mm-hmm. They don't say, hey, you buy this product, you're going to really like it. They take it to the next level. You're going to see your mom again, who you haven't seen in 30 years. They on the emotion of, hey, you drink this, you're going to be dunking on people, not you're going to quench your thirst. And they show you vivid pictures that draw on emotion. And so comedians do a great job of that, and that's why it's so memorable. So when you do a presentation, if you can draw on emotion, again, whether it was 10 minutes or an hour, hopefully there'll be a memory hook there, and people remember you over the next person.
Yeah. The second thing is telling a story.
Yep.
And I think whether you're sitting in church and you're listening to a phenomenal pastor, one thing that resonates well with us, or that connects well with us, are stories that are brought in along the sermon. It makes it more there's more connection there. I can just think of that in our everyday lives, but also in sales presentations or commercials, like we were just talking about on marketing pieces. When they pull in a story, it's going to make it sink in a little bit deeper.
Yes, it's for everybody. I mean, storytelling is everything, from a professional presentation to even just maybe you're pitching a particular product or service. It's much better to give someone a story, a testimonial even,
than to talk about the features of the product.
The features of the product and the solutions. No one really cares, and they drown that out. But they remember stories. They can relate to stories, again, because stories usually tie into emotion. And so there's no better storyteller than a good comedian. The way they tee it up, they take you through it, they end with a contrast. They just do a phenomenal job. And when they do that, they draw you in. And they're not up there lecturing. And so again, if you're doing a presentation and you have a particular product or service, and there's probably a lot of features and benefits, you're going to lose people just doing that. But if you can tie it into a story, a real life story of the human element, tying emotion, memorable. Success.
Yes, and they don't have to be your own stories. I mean, if you work in a large company or even in a small company, just talking to other people within your organization about some of their success stories with their clients or their customers, talking to your customers and just understanding the impact of your products or services with them, like you're gonna get a whole booklet full of stories. So just keeping those listening ears open, like we talked about last night, because these stories make a humongous impact into your presentation and your connection skills.
So the third thing stand-up comedians do is they do a great job of acting things out. So not only are they telling stories, drawing your emotion in, but they act. And anyone that's been to a show knows that. They act things out and they imitate, and it's funny and it's memorable. And, again, sometimes maybe people aren't as comfortable acting in a presentation, but if you have the ability and the comfort to kind of wing it and act up a little bit, and use props, they do a great job of that. Some comedians use a ton of props. It's very memorable, and it really, props are a form of metaphors. And so when you can see that your brain relates to it, it's memorable. And so in a presentation, you want to incorporate the same thing, and that will take a little bit of research and study to think about, hey, what can I tie in here
to effectively incorporate the props?
And not just to have props or act things out to be goofy,
right?
But is there a spot in the presentation where I could do that and it makes sense and ties things in and people get it? And
you're also connecting with those people that are different types of learners. So a kinesthetic learner likes to touch and feel things. So if you're able to bring in a prop that they can visualize touching, that maybe you even pass around during the presentation, that's a big way to connect with the different type of learning methods.
So
this kind of leads to the next step. Engaging and involving the audience.
They can't just sit there and spectate, right? If you engage somebody, and this is anything, conversation, presentation, you're going to have more memory of the situation. Obviously, some comedians will engage people to the nth degree and even scare them.
So you never want to sit in the front during a live comedy act. Unless you want to be brought into that.
But you'll never forget it. And so, in your presentations, how can you engage the audience so you're not just up there talking and presenting? How can you get them involved and make it tie in? And those are things. So if you think of these four I can maybe give you a couple examples of how that's tied in, and maybe a lot of you can relate. So, there's a ton of good comedians. Most people have probably heard of Eddie Murphy. Well, Eddie Murphy, if you remember, in 1989, he had a series called Raw. And, a lot of people probably, maybe close to my age would remember Raw. He had the purple suit, purple leather suit, a lot of good skits. And, if you think of those four things, obviously the whole thing from beginning to end was funny, but he would act out. He would imitate. He imitated Bill Cosby. He imitated, who else did he imitate? Richard Pryor. He did a great job of imitating him. And, one thing that always stuck out to me is, and it probably is for a lot of you, when you think of props and acting out, is he imitated, a husband and a wife and extramarital affairs. And he used the mic stand and the prop like this for Dexter, the Jamaican. And so you see something like that, and those that are with me that have seen that know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to give you the details. But if you think of that compilation of a guy that, came up with a story, made up story about, a couple and a lady going on vacation, and Dexter and using his accent and using the mic as a prop.
Acting it out. Bringing in the emotion.
And the emotion of, wow, that was kind of intense but funny. And there was a ton of examples. That's just one of them. But people can recite that whole portion to this day. I don't know how many years ago that was, 89, I believe. And some of them only seen it once. That's the power of it. And he incorporated all four of those, you think. Mm-hmm. He drew on the emotion. He told a story. He acted it out. He used props. And he engaged the audience. And he did a great job of engaging the audience, a lot of times with eye contact and even speaking to them. So that's an example of the four. Obviously, there's a ton of, any good comedian incorporates all four and does it really, really well. If you're doing a presentation, we don't expect you to have that level of professionalism. That's why they get paid the big bucks to do it. But
if you could incorporate even a couple of these, and it takes practice. It takes practice and preparation. Just to ensure that you are plugging them in the right appropriate spots.
Yeah. It's just, again, if you're a person, and a lot of us are in some kind of realm doing presentation, think of these four keys and how can you prepare that presentation to do your best at incorporating it. And hey, please share this with your friends too, especially if you're the person that has to sit in a presentation. You don't want it to be boring. You actually want to be entertained, want to learn something.
You may not even be selling a product, but you could be a trainer. You could be presenting information to help people, to teach them, to learn, to grow. So this could be in any capacity, even in your personal lives as parents or as older brothers or sisters or aunts or uncles or teachers.
No, teachers out there, think about that. If you're a business owner or you have employees that you need to train, you need to train your children, you're a coach. Any format where maybe there's training involved, that's a presentation, and that's something you want people to retain it.
Yes. So by incorporating, one of these four components, it's going to be memorable. It's going to help them retain it. Yep. And then by retaining it, then they're going to go back and implement it into, their work, their life, whatever it may be. So we can use this business or personal life.
Yep. And we'd love to see it on your end if we happen to be part of your crowd, so to speak, whether you're training us or entertaining us or pitching product or service. So please, like and share with your friends. Comment with us if you're doing some of these things.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your ideas of some things you're doing. We always love to get new ideas and try to implement them on our side.
And if you're going to see a great comic in town, give us a call. We'd love to go. We love to just go for the entertainment value. So it's been a minute. We do get some good talent that come to Naples. So
if you guys aren't on our newsletter, we share tips like this and other tips on there. So definitely hop on at gainhottips.com. If you haven't checked out our website yet, we've got some new stuff going on lately. Yeah. So hop on there at growthandimprovement.com. And like Dean said, if you think this video has helped you or will help others, definitely like, comment, and share. That helps us share the message with other people. So that helps us out big time.
Yes. So with that, we'll let you guys go. Remember to present well, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.